Philippines Tzu Chi volunteers conduct disaster assessments in Tacloban city of Leyte province. And we'll meet a few China volunteers at this year's Overseas Volunteer Training Seminar. Welcome to DaAi Headlines. I'm Helen Liao. Thank you for joining us. First up in the Philippines, after Typhoon Haiyan left a trail of destruction in Tacloban city of Leyte province, Tzu Chi volunteers arrived in the worst-hit areas to carry out disaster surveys and hand out consolation cash to those in need. Volunteers also discussed with government officials the possibility of implementing relief work programs to help disaster survivors rebuild their homes and communities.
Accompanied by the military, Tzu Chi volunteers head towards the worst-hit areas of Tacloban city in Leyte province to carry out a disaster survey and are shocked by what they see. Besides damaged houses and cars, corpses lay on the roadside not yet buried. The city hall was not spared by the tragic event, and notice boards are filled with missing persons photos. Tzu Chi volunteers also search for those from the Chinese community to offer their help.
We're here for you. We're helping the Filipinos and helping our Chinese community too. We're all from the same community and are helping each other out.
Here, residents of all backgrounds were left devastated by the calamity.
Don't worry. We are all one family.
Seeing those from the same ethnicity, one disaster victim finally lets go of his bottled-up emotions.
Not only that their homes are destroyed, their stores are destroyed, they're even looted. They owe a lot of money too to their suppliers. Where are they going to get the money to pay?
Tzu Chi volunteers also visit temporary shelters and through one-on-one talks with disaster survivors learn of their immediate needs. At the worst-hit village situated along the seashore, residents are doing what they can to recover from the tragedy.
The situation is under control and I believe it's now safe to go in and help them.
Setting aside the terrifying descriptions by the media, Tzu Chi volunteers believe there is still hope for Tacloban.
It's debris all around them and nobody's doing anything. So there seems to be no hope in their eyes. So we thought of having cash for work just like what we did in Marikina.
Marikina City managed to recover from Typhoon Katsana in 2009. And Tzu Chi volunteers hope with the same relief work program to help rebuild Tacloban.
In a recent development, a group of Tzu Chi volunteers and team of doctors returning to Cebu following their first round of disaster assessments and aid distribution in Leyte province were on hand to save a life at sea. Joining the volunteers on the ferry to Cebu were refugees escaping from the devastation in Leyte, including one boy who was suffering from numerous injuries and a high fever. Fortunately for the boy and his sister, a team of doctors on board were quickly to care for the boy and put him on the path to recovery.
We're currently on a ferry that is taking us from Leyte to Cebu. With us is a young boy who is suffering from untreated wounds that have begun to fester.
Following his escape from the typhoon, this young boy was left with injuries to his hands, arms and buttocks, the worst being the one on his left arm which had started to fester, leaving the boy with a high fever. Next, the team of doctors quickly injects a local anesthetic. With the wound already showing suppuration and ulceration, he knows that he has to work fast to prevent the situation from deteriorating. Although on a boat, the doctor's hands are steady and sure, and his professionalism soothes away the worries of the boy's sister. He lived with our mother and grandfather. All his neighbors fled to the refugee camps. He struggled against the waves for his life, swam as hard as he could, and with his own eyes saw our mom being pulled away by the waters. The waters were everywhere and all the debris in them caused his injuries. As the boy's sister was at work, she avoided the fate that befell the rest of her family. After searching for her brother at the disaster site, the two siblings fled to safety, en route encountering team of volunteers.
The rotten areas we have to cut off. Once those areas that smell are completely removed, We can then sew up the wounds. I said to them, you find me a table and get him to lie down, and I can help him.
Thanks to the quick surgery, the boy's life was brought out of danger. However, his story is only one out of many. Many on the boat lost everything, including family members, homes, and belongings. The only thing left is despair.
One for you, one for me.
With a little love from the volunteer, however, some of the passengers wipe away the tears and find hope to smile again. One volunteer passes around a hat to collect donations for the mothers on board.
Thank you so much to Georgie Foundation. It's a big help.
Many of the refugees lack shoes to wear and have not eaten in days. Yet they are the lucky ones, as they were able to come under the care of Tzu Chi. Despite the hard work of carrying out distributions in Leyte, during the 5-hour boat ride, the volunteers continue to bring comfort, love, and hope to the shell-shocked refugees.
Knowing the urgent need for relief aid in the hard-hit areas of the Philippines, 60 prefabricated classrooms put together by Tzu Chi volunteers were loaded for their trip to the Philippines. Meanwhile, 3 water purifying systems and other aid supplies were also loaded into containers and are estimated to arrive at Cebu port on November 25th.
These large bags being moved into the 20-foot container are filled with moisture-proof plastic sheets. These plastic sheets will be used as the flooring for the prefabricated classrooms heading to the Philippines. Including the 60 prefabricated classrooms, in total, 7 containers filled with relief items are being shipped out.
We have filled 2 20-foot containers in Sanchong, and we estimate this shipment will arrive in Cebu port on November 25th. After the relief distributions in Omak, volunteers will head to Tacloban to distribute as well.
Inside the giant wooden container are 3 water purifying systems, along with aid supplies such as environmental bowls, foldable water bottles, and Tzu Chi's instant rice.
Every water purifying system can provide up to 5 tons of water a day, which is approximately enough for 500 persons. In the Philippines, we will start a work relief program and provide hot meals for those participating.
As not to waste any precious space inside the containers, volunteers do their best to fit the items in just right and hope that the items will reach those in need without delay.
In the aftermath of Typhoon Haiyan in the Philippines, Tzu Chi volunteers worldwide have been mobilized to contribute their love. Next, let's take a look at what volunteers in Taiwan, Malaysia, and Hong Kong are doing to help the disaster survivors. To help those suffering from Typhoon Haiyan in the Philippines, Hong Kong Tzu Chi volunteers have been mobilized to canvass for donations. However, it wasn't that easy to apply for a permit.
It wasn't easy to apply for on-street fundraisers, and I feel it is getting harder and harder. We had to pay a visit to the Social Welfare Office, the General Land Office, and many more.
Despite the complicated application process, in 3 days, the volunteers were able to apply for 16 on-street fundraiser locations around Galong and the New Territories.
I joined the organization because I want to help the victim of Typhoon Yolanda. And I just want to say thank you to the organization.
I hope all the citizens in Hong Kong can contribute their share and help those around us.
Other than being joined by adults, many children also come to contribute their love.
The donations can help the typhoon survivors. They can buy food when they have money.
I sold some flags today and donated the money to help Typhoon Haiyan survivors.
Looking at the devastation left by Typhoon Haiyan, under the encouragement from their teachers, students at the Tzu Chi Cadet Kindergarten in Malaysia happily donate their love.
I feel sorry for the disaster survivors. The typhoon destroyed their homes.
Other than inspiring children, volunteers also encourage parents to join and contribute their love.
The school invited us to come and join the blessing ceremony. Through the event, we have gained a better understanding of the current situation in the Philippines. We are very grateful that Malaysia did not encounter such a natural disaster. We want to contribute our share and help those in greater need.
Looking at a PowerPoint illustrating the current situation in the Philippines, students of the Tzu Chi parent-child class in Kaohsiung, Taiwan, are not only learning to appreciate their own blessings, but also how to incorporate Tzu Chi's etiquette when presenting relief items to disaster survivors.
你要把物资呈现给我，应该怎么呈现？好棒，好。
When presenting relief items with both hands, recipients can feel the sincerity and respect that comes with the aid.
我们感恩的物资恭敬地呈送给我们受灾的人，感恩。
Other than learning how to be grateful and respectful, students are also encouraged to donate money. To help those affected by Typhoon Haiyan in the Philippines, many children happily donate their allowance. At the end of the event, everyone writes their blessings on cards in hopes that their words of love and hope can reach those still suffering from the disaster. Over the past weekend at the Banqiao Tzu Chi grounds in New Taipei City, Tzu Chi volunteers from abroad have gathered for this year's Overseas Volunteer Training Seminar. Among the over 400 volunteers from China, we meet husband and wife team, as well as individual volunteers who shared their stories of change since joining the Buddhist NGO.
Here at the Tzu Chi Banqiao grounds in New Taipei City, Li Ke from China's Queensland, who is a kitchen volunteer himself back home, is learning a few tips from volunteers as they busily prepare meals for their fellow counterparts from abroad.
Knowing all the karma I have created, I really need to repent for my past behavior. As long as there is one person not adopting a vegetarian diet, I'll continue to make delicious meatless dishes to convince them to go meatless.
Tzu Chi volunteer Hu Hong from Wuhan decided to quit her government job to devote herself to helping handicapped children.
因为我的女儿才生下来的时候患有唇腭裂。
My daughter was born with a cleft lip, so I can empathize with parents who are raising a handicapped child and the sense of helplessness they feel.
To many volunteers, Tzu Chi is not a religious group, but an organization that gives them spiritual sustenance. Guangzhou Tzu Chi volunteer Chu Yingshu, since joining the NGO, has improved her relationship with her mom.
Before, I kept donating membership fees on her behalf, and she didn't like it. So I told her that I am donating it, and she said I could do whatever I like with my money. I hope to bring my mother into Tzu Chi one day, that is being filial to parents.
Zhou Hanming from Sichuan was a victim of the 5.12 earthquake and previously received Tzu Chi's help. Today, Zhou wants to reciprocate by introducing the charity organization to whomever he comes across.
If they don't listen, I will say it again. If they still don't listen, I'll keep going. After all, I believe that there are many who are committed to doing good deeds and carrying out their filial duties in society.
Another volunteer couple from Yunnan, Yang Yiming and Yu Hui, are also among the participants at this year's training seminar. Yang, who used to be short-tempered, has gotten rid of this bad habit after coming across Tzu Chi.
Whenever we have arguments, my wife will remind me to adjust myself. There have been great changes in the way I drive, as well as in our daily lives.
This couple vows to remain diligent in walking on the Bodhisattva path. And Tzu Chi volunteer Liu Xuejie from Guangdong, when previously attending trainings to become a certified volunteer, was supported by his children who were helped with household chores.
To be able to tolerate is nothing, but one must be able to digest that emotion and completely let it go. I'm here because I have let go of my worries.
With 435 volunteers from China here in Banqiao for their Overseas Volunteer Training Seminar, Master Zhen Yan also gives a few words of encouragement.
假如我们的心啊不单纯，我们的心呢，假如有烦恼，那 意念不断复制的无名，那就很容易人与人之间对立，人与人之间的争斗发生。
Upon receiving the blessing and wisdom red envelopes from Master Zhen Yan, these volunteers all hope to return home to spread Tzu Chi's love far and wide.
At the second overseas volunteer training seminar at the Tzu Chi Central Grant in New Taipei City, who meet volunteers from the United Kingdom, the United States, Cambodia, and Southern Africa to see how the 4-day training seminar has inspired them to uphold Tzu Chi's missions and spread the seeds of love back home.
The Tzu Chi song Fulfill My Dreams echoes the determination of the Tzu Chi Culture and Communication Foundation to safeguard humanitarianism and carry the stream of purity into the world.
During a production, through interviews conducted by the screenwriter, they have also been inspired and their own wisdom has also increased. For this reason, some of them have even joined Tzu Chi and become certified Tzu Chi commissioners.
Of the some 300 certified volunteers from different nationalities, faiths, and languages, many have been inspired by the positive influence of DaAi TV.
I have a friend that have a radio, and then I'm going to see if it's going to be possible for me to have a radio show maybe once a week to talk about Tzu Chi.
The guest speakers deliver an insightful look into Tzu Chi's charity missions. For the Tzu Chi volunteers from Africa, the message on healing sickness and poverty was a moving one.
I say thank you, Master Cheng Yen. He brought us here. We saw, we learned a lot of things. Compassion heart, lovely heart, thinking, correcting, anything is good.
Although of different faiths and ethnicities, volunteers from 25 countries shoulder the same mission, and that is to purify the hearts of all. Translating simultaneously, Mozambique volunteer Paulo takes on this challenging task. Not only does he not feel tired, he finds the opportunity to be much rewarding.
The prayer is purifying. It's purifying myself, purifying my mind, my heart.
Realizing his blessings after having witnessed the suffering in his own country, Paulo has bigger aspirations.
Now, I don't think like being to have much money. No, I think about take care of people who really are suffering because I appreciate what I have.
Cambodia volunteers too understand the hardship of poverty.
Since joining Tzu Chi, I saw many people that were much worse off than me. I know that feeling, so I want to do everything in my power to help those people.
My husband says it's okay if I become a vegetarian, but he said my daughter is too young and it could be bad for her health.
Her family's disapproval of her daughter adopting a vegetarian diet has put Zhang Wanming under a lot of pressure. To get her family to understand the benefits of vegetarianism, Zhang has read many books on the subject.
My husband kept scolding her until she cried. Both my daughter and I are very determined because we understand that a vegetarian diet is good for our health.
Currently studying in the United Kingdom, Cai Yafan decided to join the volunteers' ranks after seeing an elderly volunteer serving others tirelessly during a distribution for the homeless.
What surprised me was that the uncle was older than my father. He could have easily been my grandfather if he were just a few years older.
Seeing the selflessness of the senior volunteer, Tai hopes to call on more young troopers to join Tzu Chi's ranks once back home.
In 1999, Reform Mathematics was introduced by Taiwan's Ministry of Education. This new teaching method emphasized on conceptual thinking and helping students discover their own answers. Next, let's learn what Reform Mathematics is all about.
This fun and games atmosphere is not what one would typically expect from a math class, but actually these are the teaching methods of Reform Mathematics. What does comparing dinosaurs to leopards have to do with math? In the past, Taiwan's math classes were filled with rote memorization, but in reform mathematics, that has been all thrown out the window.
Through teacher guidance as well as activities and games, reform math builds students' understanding and conceptual thinking skills.
Reform mathematics is not focused on reaching a solution, but instead the process of coming up with an answer is seen as more important. It challenges students to think using real-life contexts and making connections between concepts. However, in the face of timed examinations, reform math skills might not be the best solution.
好，来，请你算9个3加起来是多少？
Reform mathematics teach children you have to add 9 7 times to get the answer. I take 2 hours a day to tutor my children to prepare for what the teacher is going to teach later.
In 1999, Taiwan's Ministry of Education formally introduced reform mathematics as the standard of teaching method for students from grade 1 to 9. It was then that educators who were teaching these methods and parents who were assisting in tutoring found themselves to be of differing opinions.
Normally, people's idea is that lower math level is easy. It's just adding and subtracting, but the hardest part is to get the children to understand these concepts.
The methods teachers employ might be different than the ones parents teach, and the children's reaction is that parents' teaching method is wrong. I would then have to tell them that there are different methods to solve a math problem.
Math is a fun subject, and for teachers to abandon teaching math, I feel it is a very big problem.
In 2002, when the students who were the first generation to have learned reform math took their high school examinations, the scores fell drastically. After debates and discussions from all sides, the next year, the Ministry of Education amended the basic curriculum to incorporate both reform math and traditional math.
It doesn't matter if it's reform math or traditional math, whichever method lets the children get the answer the quickest or allows them to get the most enjoyment out of math is the right way to go.
If traditional math is a black and white TV and reform math is a color TV, then forcing everyone to upgrade their television to color TV is perhaps not a perfect solution. Maybe what's important is allowing everyone to find a TV suitable to one's own needs.
We stay in Taiwan at the end of the show. A charity sale was held at the Taichung Tzu Chi Hospital to raise funds for Typhoon Haiyan survivors in the Philippines. The event was well received by patients and their family members. We'll leave you with these images. Thank you for watching DaAi Headlines. Goodbye.